Very warm welcome back to my channel, everybody. My name's Karen Saunders and I discuss all things Jehovah's Witnesses. Well, today I have another escape from the tower story, and this one I believe personally will encourage ex-Jehovah's Witnesses and current Jehovah's Witnesses that currently visit my channel. This lady is named Denise, and Denise is from Canada, and she's going to tell her story. She has quite a bit to say. So I'd like to warmly welcome Denise. How are you going, my friend?
Hello, Karen. I'm fabulous. How are you?
Very, very well, thank you, and all the better for meeting you, my friend. And I just want to thank you before we begin to get into your story, to thank you for coming on to the channel because um, there's some information that you'd like to share about your experiences as a Jehovah's Witness, and some of it could be quite confronting. So I just want to applaud you before we begin, and I want to thank you for being very brave. And I really appreciate you taking time out to share your story. So I just want to get into the beginnings of your life growing up as a Jehovah's Witness. Were you born into the organization?
Yes, I was born into the organization. My father was a ministerial servant. I lived in Calgary at the time, and I had two younger brothers. So I was the only daughter and the firstborn. So I was very special to my father, especially. He was very proud to have me as his firstborn. I had a birthday the same day as my grandmother, so I was sort of the perfect child, you would say. I was giving public talks since I was about 6. I spoke at conventions, um, and I was the model Jehovah's Witness. But there were some things as I was growing up, probably around the age of 12, there was something about it that just seemed wrong. Everybody was very euphoric when I went to the Kingdom Hall, and I never shared that euphoria. There was things that bothered me, like some of the teachings, especially the no blood transfusion rule, and no abortions if you're raped, um, and no, you can't get divorced if someone was mentally abusing you. My mother was mentally abused by my father. She had her own mental abuse issues, but he was quite mean to her. Um, but as I said, we all went as a family to the Kingdom Hall. There was 5 meetings a week. There was field service on Saturday. There was a Watchtower meeting on Sunday, Bible study at home on Monday. Tuesday was the book study. Thursday was the theocratic ministry school. So we were all kept very busy in top of the school work that we had to do.
Mm.
So I can tell you that the abuse from my father, who was a ministerial servant, began at about the age of 12. My body started changing. He started to make comments. Oh, your breasts are growing. Oh, come sit on my lap, when he was just wearing a house coat in the kitchen, naked underneath, looking into my eyes deeply, kissing me on the mouth. When my mom was away, she frequently had to leave the house because she was having breakdowns. That's when the abuse would start. He would come into my room at night. I'd be afraid of how my pajamas maybe were was I showing anything? Was I, you know, doing anything to make this happen? He would kiss me on the mouth at night and kind of fondle me a little bit. And then he would leave. My younger brother, Tim, who was killed in a scuba diving accident just about 20 years ago, he would beat him with molding. So Tim would come home from school and he would beat him with a molding. So my little brother tried to run away several times. But I mean, we all went to the meetings. My father would say, okay, it's time to shine, everybody. Let's put on our faces. So we'd all go to the Kingdom Hall and pretend everything was great and say hi to everybody, and then go preach the word to everybody and come to our organization. And it just felt wrong to me. But I was too young to do anything about it.
Mm.
So,
Wow.
mhm. So
Oh,
at the age of 16, the abuse started getting a little bit worse. I was a little bit rebellious. I started to question some of the teachings, like blood transfusion. I hated Bible study. I was having a bad attitude with the Watchtower. You know, you have to write all the scriptures on the corner of the magazine and underline and do your homework. I started to really hate it, and my family sensed it. They said, you know, that Denise, you need to stay in the organization because this is the truth, and we want you with us in the new paradise. Should I
Oh,
continue?
yeah. Oh, listen, I've just come up for air. I've just started breathing again. The shock of just that intro. I no wonder just listening to you, 12 years of age to begin with, and in your head, you're not computing what's going on. You know it's wrong, but you're computing it as a child, with minimum understanding. You know it's inherently wrong, but yet
Mhm.
as a child you're not developed, completely as an adult. But you still knew at that age, you knew that blood transfusions were wrong. You knew that you disagreed with abortion. You knew that you disagreed with, people not taking accountability for their behavior. So you've got all of that going on in a child who, let's be honest, if they weren't being abused, those three flags are massive for a young child to start thinking about. And then on top of that, your father then starts sexually abusing you at the age of 12. And
Mhm.
so, your brain must, your mind as a young girl, I can only imagine, must have
Yeah.
been nothing but scrambled. It must have
Yeah.
been completely messed up. And
Yes, I
yet
was
you're
having problems in school.
right. And then you're having to put this persona on
Mhm.
when you go to the meetings, when you're going out on the ministry, and let's put our faces on, let the show must go on, kind of thing.
Yes,
And
exactly.
all the time you're this hurt young child, and quite rightly so, absolutely, feeling anger. And that anger was because you knew you were trapped and you couldn't relate anything. You were trapped,
I
and the
couldn't tell a
control.
soul.
Sorry.
I couldn't tell a soul. I actually finally broke down and went to a guidance counselor at school. When I was in grade 11, I went to my guidance counselor and I told her what was happening. She was horrified, but there was also a creepy teacher that I had at school, and he looked at me the same way my father did, come up and rub me on the back. So I told my parents about that. We went to the school, confronted my teacher, and I looked like an idiot because he denied it too. So not only did I have it at school, but I had it at home, and no one believed me. Like nobody. You have to be imagining things. I just thought maybe there was something wrong with me. Am I really sick? Am I mentally ill? Like, why is nobody helping me?
Oh, that's,
So at
yeah,
the age,
sorry.
yeah, thank you. At the age of 16, I finally broke down and told my mother. She came in my bedroom and she said, "Is something bothering you?" And I broke down and I said, "These are things that are happening." And she couldn't believe it. I'm going to talk to your father. So she apparently went to talk to my father, and she said, "We need to go to the elders with this, Denise." So I had to go to face 5 elders after the meeting downstairs in our meeting. It was in Calgary. It was a Tuxedo Park congregation. And had to go downstairs. So these 5 elders came downstairs, my mother and I. She was being mentally abused by my father, as I mentioned. So we were kind of stuck together. So they asked me what this meeting was about. So we came forward and just said, these are things that are happening at home. There's sexual abuse that's happening. And of course, they almost seemed like they got off on the details, like their faces. And they were just sort of looking at me like, you are one twisted girl. Like
Oh,
something ain't right about that girl, And they're saying, well, Denise, we don't want to bring reproach upon Jehovah's name, and we don't want to create slander. You might be confused about your father. He is a ministerial servant in the congregation. And was there 2 witnesses that observed this? Well, I don't know about anybody else, but the way sexual abuse works is nobody else sees it. It's done in private.
exactly.
So it's
Exactly.
not like it was recorded as part of our holidays. you know? So I said, well, of course nobody saw it. Everybody was sleeping at night. My mom was, she was in the hospital. My brothers were sleeping. He'd come down to my room. He'd been drinking. I could smell alcohol on his breath. He would tell me, "Oh, I wish wish your mother was more like you." Like just creepy things you don't say to a 16-year-old.
No.
So the elders basically shunned us, my mom and I, from we were still going to meetings, but clearly gossip was spreading. We still put our game faces on, went as a happy family. She hadn't quite separated yet. So we went as a happy family, and finally she went to the ministry and said that I'm in an abusive a situation. I need to get my daughter out. Thank goodness she did that, because we moved, but we had to move down the street. So I was living down the street from my abusive father. We had separated. At this time, he starts being very manipulative and, "Oh, I miss you. Come and see me. Oh, I just bought this new bike. I bought this new car." He was stealing money from the family. All the time, he was still doing his ministerial talks, saying prayers. He was part of the sound check system. Nothing had happened to him. So I got really brave one day and I said, "Dad, what you're doing to me is wrong. When you look at me and you kiss me on the mouth and you're not wearing any clothes underneath your robe at night, and when you come into my room and kiss me before you leave on your long haul trip, this you talk about how my breasts are growing, and every time I bend over to get something out of the fridge, you're looking down my shirt. Like, this feels wrong." And his response was, "I'm sorry you're twisting my love for you, Denise. There is no penetration, so it is not classified as sexual abuse."
Oh,
So
you must have
shut
been
my mouth
chilling. Oh
after
my goodness.
I shut my mouth and I pretend nothing had ever happened. I thought, this is not, I can't do anything about this. Nobody believes me. My grandparents, I don't know if they believed me. They always thought my father was kind of, something wasn't right. But I still had to go out and preach the word. I still had to go to school. I still had to be ostracized from birthday parties, from all of that stuff while doing informal witnessing, because I had to get my hours in as a publisher.
Mm.
So what ended up happening when I was about, I had moved to Vancouver. My mom couldn't handle me in Kelowna. So I moved in with my dad, if you believe that,
Oh
because he was
no.
manipulative. I moved in with my dad to get away from my mom. And we lived in a little cheap little place down in Vancouver. And the abuse started happening again. And this time, I thought, I'm going to immerse myself in Jehovah. I am going to be the best Jehovah's Witness anybody could ever be. I went, we had a congregation down in Vancouver that there was tons of young people. They all befriended me. I all of a sudden had this beautiful, association of these people that were in good standing. We went out, in service. We'd go to the A&W for coffee. Then we'd have outings, and life got better. Life got better. And I just thought, I just have to get through this. So a couple of years went by. I turned 22. Oh yes, I was baptized. I was pressured into getting baptized because I had this new euphoria of friends, my aunts and uncles and my father. "When are you getting baptized, Denise?" They asked me that since I was 16 years old. And I kept evading. "I'm not ready. I'm not ready. Why are you ready? More Bible studies. Pray to Jehovah more." So when I turned 22, um, I decided that I couldn't do it anymore. My father was starting to harass me at work. I worked at a university, in the cooperative education department. He would start calling me at work saying, "I don't care what people say about you, Denise. You are good. People are talking about you, but don't worry. I set them straight. We want you to come to meetings." And then he would leave notes on my car in the morning. He would drive by my house all the time. Um, he would leave, like I said, little notes with, "Oh, I love you, come back to Jehovah." So it finally got to a point where I had to change cities. I was getting hate mail from my mother, my aunts. They would say things like, "You're going to die in Armageddon, Denise. I feel like you're already dead. Armageddon is coming. You're not part of the paradise. you're hurting your family, your mom did everything for you, and you're turning your back on your mom. You went back to live with your father. Everything you said was a lie. And so I decided I would just move. So I moved from Vancouver. I'm in Kelowna. I moved to Vancouver, to Kelowna, and began a new life, started meeting new people. My mom started phoning me saying, Denise, the elders want to meet with you up in Kelowna. You need to be disfellowshipped. You are baptized, so you're worse than a dog going back to its vomit. And you need to repent, and the elders want to speak with you. I had elders driving by my house. And they said there's going to be an announcement that you're disfellowshipped. Well, I didn't know, but apparently you have to write a letter asking to be disfellowshipped. I never did that. So I don't know if an announcement was ever made or anything. But yeah, so I went and started doing counseling. I would really encourage anybody who is going through anything like this to reach out for a counselor. There's lots of people out there that are qualified. There's sliding scales. You can get some coverage through the ministry if you can. Books and videos are great to look at, but really have that sounding board where you define your boundaries, you define yourself. I was having nightmares in my 30s, my 20s. I actually had amnesia. I couldn't remember anything about my life between 20 and 30, other than something really bad had happened to me, and it had to do with my father. But it was blank. Everything was blank. And then when I got into my 30s, I started getting these really bad flashbacks of mouths kissing me, and carpet, my face being on the carpet. And so I found a registered psychologist, and I got some therapy from a registered psychologist. I had severe post-traumatic stress disorder. I had to take a leave of absence from work for 6 weeks. Went back to work. But now I do thank the witnesses for something. I am not afraid of public speaking. I can sell ice to an Eskimo.
I bet you can. I bet you can. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. No. Go ahead. Go ahead. Carry on.
Yeah. So then, around 2000 and I think it was around 2010. Well, I got remarried. I married somebody, a Portuguese man who wasn't a witness. I got married, and we built a house on acreage, and we had a good life. He loved me a lot. He was an old Portuguese man, so he could be a little bit abusive on his own, big mouth kind of construction guy. And then one day we're sitting on the couch, and I get this call, and it's from my mother's new husband. They had both remarried. My dad is married to somebody who is younger than I am now, and he lives in the middle of nowhere. My mom phones me and says, Denise, your brother Tim was killed in a scuba diving incident. We don't know if it was suicide. My brother was really messed up from being hit by my father for so many years. He was very mixed up. He didn't believe me either. So we had that kind of conflict. But she said, I just don't think it's a good idea for you to come to the funeral. You would not be welcome there. So I don't think you should come to his funeral. Well, you can imagine how that made me feel. My younger brother had mental health issues himself. He died tragically, and I'm not allowed to go to his bloody funeral. So I decided, I had reconnected with a close family member, and we had decided that we would go down to Vancouver by Squamish Bay, where he was known to have. He was on a boat, came up for air, dropped his spear, didn't realize he was out of air in his oxygen tank, and went down to get it and never came back up. So we wrote a poem for him. We bought lilies, and we said a poem, and the sky opened up, and it just felt like whatever being was there that was acknowledging us. So that's how I dealt with my brother's death. If somebody tells you, like, don't go to the funeral with the Jehovah's Witnesses, you'll be shunned. You're facing trauma. You're facing shunned. You've lost a family member. Do something yourself. Make it special for you. Have some closure.
I was going to say, isn't that just listening to you with the funeral? Wouldn't have that situation and occasion very, very sad? losing a member of your family, their family, wouldn't have that been a very, very good situation for you all to come together? Because
Mhm,
I don't know what your spiritual persuasion is now, Denise, but for me as a born again Christian, you know,
mhm.
you need to love, we need to love one another. You know, you
Exactly.
don't have to be a doormat. You can speak your truth, you can be authentic, you don't have to take any nonsense, you can call people out, but have love, have love, show
Unfelt
love.
love.
Yeah, they could have done that. That they had that perfect opportunity right there to say that to you. And no doubt you would have been feeling absolutely terrible, and probably would have been triggered with things to do with the past too. At that message from your mother saying, "Don't bother coming to the funeral." You know, there probably would have been, psychologically speaking, a Pandora's box there, the lid off and
Mhm.
everything out back out again. You know,
Yes,
yeah,
yes,
this is the cruelty. This is the cruelty. It never ever goes away. And it was like I was saying to one of my friends not too long ago, you know, without, I mean, this is about you, this is your interview, Denise, but
yes,
there's things that I've been through. It doesn't matter how you move forward in life, there are some things that time in this world will never ever heal. And that's what I'm hearing from you, my friend.
yeah. The only blessing with that is a couple of days later, there was a knock on the door and a pure later delivery came in. My brother had me in his will and had given me $30,000.
Oh, lovely.
So he did love me, and that's sort of like an affirmation that I got from that he did love me, and that at that time we needed the money, so it was like a blessing. But it just, time heals, so it does. That was 20 years ago. So since then, my husband was diagnosed with cancer in about 2012. He got really sick he had prostate cancer, and then it metastasized into his bones. And shoot,
It's all
sorry,
right. It's okay.
metastasized into his bones. And so he ended up needing to have a blood transfusion. He was in hospice, and I's like, feel your boots. Let's bring it on. I am so glad that I can honestly say I made the right decision. And because of my decision, the doctor said, "Are you Jehovah's Witness?" I said, "Hell no." I said I was, but I got smart.
Yeah, good on you.
Always try to find. My husband called me
Oh,
irritatingly positive because I always had to find positive out of that. So he
I
ended
love
up with,
it.
yeah, so we had 2 blood transfusions, and I got 6 more months from him.
Right.
So,
Ah,
it is like brainwashing, and I just have so much love for people, and I see the stats, and I see all of the court cases and stuff that are happening now, and the governing body made up of 9 men hasn't changed. The world
no.
hasn't ended like they said it would in 1975.
Mm-hmm.
My grandfather was born in 1914. He thought he was going to live forever. Well, he's
Mm.
been gone for 30 years. And any of the
Exactly.
elders who were reprimanding me, they're all dead now. So I don't have any shame in coming forward. I don't care who sees this. I
Mm.
just want to help others. And if they are looking for a way out, be true to yourself. Like, listen to uplifting music, read something positive, get into
Mm-hmm.
oils, go exercise, get yourself a dog. There's lots of support groups online now. There wasn't even the internet when I was growing up. I'm that old, Karen.
Right. Right. So look, I mean, you must be around the same age as me, you know, but yeah, we didn't back in the day, back in the 80s, you know, certainly when I became a Jehovah's Witness, there was nothing, there was no internet, there was no support groups, there was
There's no book.
nothing. You were on
Didn't
your
go for
own.
counseling, right?
I know.
We weren't
Right.
allowed antidepressants. There's no way that was going to be like
No.
that's weakness. That's a sin against God. Don't tell your doctor, because that's
Yes.
bringing approach on Jehovah's name.
Yeah, isn't that terrible? Isn't it surprising? Well, it's not surprising actually, but isn't it, you know, you now, you know, you and I are out and
Mhm.
you see the organization. I mean, I can't stomach it. I'm going to be honest. I was a witness for 35 years, regular pioneer, on and off,
Where are you? I
yeah, yeah.
pioneered during summertime.
Look, my husband was a ministerial servant too, and I cannot stomach even looking at the faces of the governing body. They absolutely make me want to throw up. They are,
Mhm.
and you know what? And here's the thing: they know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. They
Yeah.
exactly, totally know what they're doing to Jehovah's Witnesses, and all we can do is, I mean, I'm just listening to you. I think you're absolutely, I'm not putting you on a pedestal, but I think you are absolutely, you are just amazing.
There's a lot of people out there that are like me, though.
I love people. I love meeting people who will not be beaten by this
No.
organization. There's many people that have been, and unfortunately, they're not here to tell their story because they've left this mortal coil, you know. But at the
Mm.
end of the day, every now and again, we get absolute diamonds like you coming through
Oh,
and
thank
telling it as it is, giving everybody their story. And I just know for a fact that people looking in to this interview, they're going to be blown away by your experience and the way that you've dealt with it so admirably. I don't mean
thank
to
you.
sound patronizing when I say that, but
You're not
you've dealt
patronizing.
with it so admirably. And look at you. Your light actually shines through the screen at me. You're just absolutely, no, I mean it. I mean it. It's just an absolute joy to meet you. And I mean, let's be honest. If you hadn't have had these dire experiences, as painful as they were, they have molded you and helped you to become the person that you are, and you're able to turn it into something positive. But then you and I would never have had the privilege. I would never have had the privilege to meet you. You know, this
No,
is this is what we're turning. This is what I'm finding when I'm meeting
there's
people
life out
and
there
interviewing
after. Yeah.
after, and so much better.
Oh,
Life
it's
is
so much
so much
better.
better outside of Watchtower because these people, I mean, and that's why I do my channel. It's not, I don't hate anybody. I don't hate Jehovah's Witnesses rank and file per se. There's some very nice, but they've been misled. Very nice, but deceived people in the organisation. Who I go after is governing body every single time, and their henchmen, the helpers. Seriously, I have no compunction, no problem calling these clowns out because that's exactly what they are. And they think they're so intelligent and so enlightened and so, you know, great, but they're nothing like Jesus said, they're nothing but the hired man, false prophet, deceivers, deception, and everything else that follows on and ricochets on from that. That's
Mhm.
exactly what they're. Nobody's saying anything positive about Jehovah's Witnesses today. There's nothing good. Everything is rotten, and you have to feel sorry for the ones that are still in and enslaved. That's exactly what they are, enslaved to nine men.
It's just fear. There's so much fear mongering in there. Armageddon is not coming, kids. It's not.
Well, but regardless of what you believe, Armageddon from the way that they teach it certainly is nothing like what the reality is. They just lie and make things up as they go along. There's a Watchtower. Sorry, there's a YouTube channel. I won't quote them, but I love what they say. Nobody does hypocrisy like the Watchtower, and it is 100% true. 100% true. And now you see, they're not even good liars. If you're going to be a good liar, you're going to have to keep telling a lie to back up the last lie. They're not even good at doing that. Everything is exposed now and out in the open, and they are seen by all of us looking in. They are seen exactly for what they are. They're rotten to the core, and they cannot stand for much longer. That's my
I'm
personal
not.
belief. No, no, you
Well,
know,
people out there, don't give
well,
up. Be true to yourself. Go to counseling. Take medication to sleep if you have to. It's not a weakness, it's a
no,
strength
it is.
tool. It doesn't beats the hell out of sitting in a corner and rocking back and forth and going to meetings and stuffing it down your throat in fear of not getting your hours in. Someone's going to be watching, someone's talking about me. You
Mhm.
don't have that anymore. You can choose who you want as your family.
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, I've never met you before. We've just corresponded through email. I've never met
Mhm.
you before, but I love you so much. You're
Oh,
just
thank you,
you're
sweetheart.
just so it's just so you're just so natural, authentic. I believe that's one of my, top sayings. You need to be true to yourself, you need to be authentic. And when you are authentic, you don't have to hide who you are. What you see is what you get. You
Mhm.
don't have to. You don't have to. That's what I thank Watchtower for. Although, if I'm totally honest, with the luxury of hindsight, I've always been an authentic person. It was just buried underneath the fear, obligation, guilt. The bite model, and all that. It was hidden underneath all of that. But now, when you leave, and those men cannot control you, you can shine in the manner and the way that you were intended to shine.
Exactly.
And I, for one, embrace all of that and applaud it in every single person that I meet.
Exactly. Well, I really value your job. I think what you're doing. I think you're doing a great job. I researched you quite a bit and watched your videos and read your stories. And yeah, you go, girl. Yeah,
We can both go together. But
we could be a team.
we can. Oh,
Yeah.
look, I'm definitely having you on for part two.
Okay.
I definitely am. Seriously.
Go.
Like you've already given, some a little bit of advice on what to do, if somebody's watching this, if Jehovah's Witnesses looking in, or even ex-Jehovah's Witnesses looking in that have been through a similar terrible, disgraceful experience like you. They're going to be built up. They're going to recognize that they are not alone. and
No,
that's
you're
why
not.
i do and that's why I do what I do, Denise, because a lot of people have got their own story. But the common thread through all of it, whether they believe, whether they don't believe, or whatever, they all say that Watchtower is not from God. It's not
No,
from God, and it's man-made, and it's corruptive, and it's divisive. They have nothing good to say about this organization. And
no.
if they say anything positive, it's like what you've said. They've actually just helped me to become a stronger person. So thanks a lot, Watchtower. Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
Independent thinker now.
Yeah. Yay. Well done, 9 men. That's the only thing we can thank them for. But
Yeah.
I just think that your story is like a beacon of light that can shine out towards others who have been abused in the manner that you've been abused. Because it is some feat to go through all of that as a young person and come out of it alive. I'm not saying you've come out of it unscathed, but
No.
you are now in a position, because you are so positive and because you're such a beautiful, light. You can now use that and help others. And what you're
I
doing
want
is helping. You're going to help so many people now on this channel. I'm helping more people than I ever did as a Jehovah's Witness.
Oh, for
Seriously.
sure. No, and
Honestly.
I feel that's a valid point. Absolutely. I feel like I'm doing more help now than the whole time I put that stupid smile on my face and my heart was beating and I was holding the tears back. And
Mm.
I don't have that anymore.
Did you ever go, thank and amen? Did you ever, thank the Lord? Did you ever think, did you ever go through, like, when you talk about mental illness, there must have been very, very dark periods in your
Hmm.
life, you know.
Hmm.
We can read between the lines. What was your glimmer of hope? What was the little bit of sunshine, in the corner of your mind that kept you going? What was it?
It's interesting that you say that because it's a moment that I will never forget. I think I was about 11 or 12, and I was in my bed, my little tiny twin bed in my room with all the flowers on the, walls, and everybody else had that stuff. And I remember waking up and I swore I heard someone say, "I'm getting you out of this." I
Oh,
don't know what it was, but I always felt like there was something bigger than me that was guiding me, that I wasn't going to be in this forever. As much as I was pressured to get baptized and I was terrified of losing my family and my aunts and uncles and all of that, you know, when you get to a certain age where you can start working, you know, I went to my high school graduation. This really inspiring TV broadcaster was saying the talk, and my mother's like, Denise, don't listen to her. This is terrible. Armageddon's coming. Don't go to university. Don't do what she's saying. We want you to just be a full-time pioneer. And I just felt like saying, I'm not going to say it because I'm
No,
classy,
I can
but
only imagine. I can
so at
only
that
imagine.
point,
Yeah.
at that point, I thought, you know, like she just couldn't handle me anymore because I didn't want to go out in service. We go into service and I'd come home and I'd listen to Def Leppard on my little boom box in my room.
Nothing
And
wrong with
she,
Def Leppard.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And then so she finally said, go live with your father. I can't handle you anymore.
Ah, yes. And you see, that's the thing, isn't it? When they cannot control you, they resort to, you know, low level, tactics and threatening behavior and manipulation and all of
Yeah,
that kind of thing. And, how can anything good come from those environments? They've got this authority, there's elitism within the organization. It's all about position and power. There's no room to be like Christ. There really isn't.
no,
This is what people are trapped in. This is what people are in a cage with. They think that they're the ones that are free, but actually, it's you and I, my friend. It's you and I,
yeah,
Denise. We're the
yeah,
ones that are free, and everybody else that's left the organization. It's very, very
yeah.
sad.
We're all apostates now. It's really sad that I'm an apostate, but bring it
Oh,
on. Like
you're
better
not.
than being the witness.
Yeah, and you know what? The shunning is worth the freedom, my friend. It really, really is. And you are in no way, shape, or form an apostate by any stretch of the imagination. But what is your spiritual outlook now? Do you have a spiritual outlook, or do you
Kind of
not?
died off for a while there. Really liked the First Nations kind of beliefs. I was into a little bit of Wicca for a while. I lived on property with a big fire pit, so I would have women come over and we would do our, you know, fire pit chants and stuff like that. So I was doing a lot of reading about Wicca. So I did that for a couple of years. And then it just kind of fizzled out. And then when my husband died, I just really kind of had to regroup. I had to sell a property and downsize and that type of thing. And so right now I just feel like I really feel like a divine strength. I'm not born again Christian. I'm not Buddhist. I'm not anything. I'm just living for the day, really, and
Right.
enjoying the day and being with my family. I just visited a family member out of town, you know, and really making sure that the older people in my life feel like they're loved. I call them every 2 weeks. They're out of town. I go visit
Nice.
them. You know, I just really am focused on doing good and how can I make this world better? What can I do to help people feel good about themselves? They call me a
Yeah.
little pillar of sunshine at work. You know, I get my face ripped off sometimes, but I'm still smiling.
You keep smiling, never ever
Yeah,
stop.
yeah.
You are. That's what I'm getting from you. And I'm just talking to you through a screen. You're such a ray of sunshine, so beautiful. It's just
Oh,
so
thank
nice. It's very, very nice and very cathartic for me, actually, to be honest, to talk to somebody like you. And I'm glad, whatever you believe. I mean, from what I'm hearing, that's what Jesus would have done. He would have done exactly the same as you, checking up on people, seeing if they're all right, showing love, being kind,
yes.
and all that. Compassionate, compassionate, exactly.
Non-judgmental of anything.
I can't stand that. I cannot
No.
stand people being, judgmental, and I mean, it's just, have your opinions, but then
Hmm.
don't go below that, just because you think that your opinion is better than somebody else's,
Hmm.
and then you
I hate,
resort
I
to name
hate it.
calling. Yeah, I hate
I
it.
hate
And then
it. I know.
anybody that comes across like that, I just shut it down. I won't put up with it. I will not put up with it. But I just want to. I'm blown away. really, I truly am. I just want to, do you have anything else that you'd like to say? Anything?
I just want people to know that there is light, and the new light is not coming from the governing body. The new light comes from yourself and what you believe. And the
Beautiful.
little lights around you, the children around you, the sunshine, your animals, enjoy what you do for work, feel like you're part of something bigger,
Hmm.
and never give up. There's a sign on my fridge, the magnet I've had for about 20 years. It says, never, never, never give up. And I
Mm,
almost threw it out when I went through a bad depression a while ago. And I just couldn't do it. So I've been
mm,
through rough times too. Like, I was
yeah.
almost suicidal when I was in my when 19 or so. I thought I was having such terrible nightmares. I thought the demons were coming to get me. My family told me the demons were going to come and get me as soon as I lost Jehovah's Spirit. So, when I
Mm.
moved out on my own, I kept waiting. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to be haunted now. I wouldn't watch any scary movies, nothing to invite them. That never
Mm.
happened.
No, no.
It's a
Well, I just think, like you said, be your true authentic self, and always try and be. I work on trying to be a better version of myself each day. I don't always get it right, but
yeah.
the
Well, who
fact
does?
that
We're imperfect.
we're imperfect, but the thing is, for me as a human being, self-reflection is so much part of my life these days. A self-reflection, what can I do to improve that trait of my personality that I'm not really keen
Mm,
on, and working hard to eliminate that. And I always quote Charlie Chaplin in these kinds of conversations. He said, even in this wicked world, your problems are temporary. Even in this wicked world, problems are
just
only
tell
temporary.
that.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And so I think about that and try and adopt that with a view to being the best version of myself as a human being. And
Mm,
just want to finally ask you, thank you for that. Thank you for adding those things. But I want to ask you, as I do all my guests, if I was to say to you, Denise, you escaped from the tower, or you said to me, Karen, I escaped from the tower because, what would your response be?
Because what they're telling is a lie. Blood transfusion saves lives. If you're being abused, get out, get a divorce, get a restraining order. Um, it's just open your mind, allow yourself to relax, open your mind, and just question. If it doesn't feel right, question it. If there's
Mm,
no answer, do your own research. The internet is fabulous. Wish they had it when I was growing up.
yeah. Wow. Thank you.
Watch Karen's channel. I
Oh, I love you.
had to do that for you.
I left the Watchtower because I wanted to watch Karen Saunders. Oh, that's
Yeah.
that's hilarious. Oh, that's beautiful. Well, I just want to say something, that my day has been blessed now as a result of talking to you and meeting you finally. And I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, Denise. Thank you so much for coming onto my channel and sharing this amazing story and your survival of abuse. It's just, I just know, I can just feel how many people are going to be emboldened and encouraged by
I hope
your experience. I know so. And you and I are going to keep in touch, my friend. And of course, I would love to have you back on the channel at some stage.
absolutely. If you hadn't reached out to me on Facebook, I wouldn't have known you.
No, I wouldn't have known you either.
I know.
Okay. So little things grow into big things. And, I'm a firm believer that, you're supposed to meet people for a reason.
Mhm.
Whether
Season,
that's,
reason, or lifetime.
yeah, whether that's to teach you something about yourself, or teach you something about them, or, whatever experience. People come and go, but the ones that remain, they're the ones that are sifted as gold in my mind. So
Right.
thank you, Denise,
You're
and
welcome.
I love you, and I'm definitely going to have you back on my channel. So, like I say to everybody before we end and before we part, please, everybody, wherever you are, stay true to one another. Always show love and kindness. Always be forgiving, but always, always be your true, authentic self. Until next time, everybody, take care now.